not that you and I were live now with David Kaplan, not that you and I haven't had back and forths, on the basketball court or on radio, but it is awesome to be able to catch up with you. I cannot wait to come up there tomorrow. We are live on the Garage Happy Hour. People will be catching this on replay, I'm sure, during the weekend and saying, oh boy, here we go. St. Louis and Chicago, Cards, Cubs. Thank goodness the Cardinals won yesterday leading into this series. At least there's some hope about it. People are down on this team right now. Kind of like where you were like about a month ago when the Cubs weren't playing well, David?
Some point in April, I was very down on our baseball team. It's great to be with you, my friend. I was down on them because they weren't hitting, they weren't pitching. Then they had the best record in the National League in May. And if you had told me back in April that we were going to face the San Diego Padres in San Diego, Yu Darvish is on the hill against Jake Arrieta, and that we would have Patrick Wisdom starting at third, PJ Higgins, whoever he is, starting as our catcher, Sergio Alcantara is our shortstop, Ian Happ is coming in from center field to be our starting second baseman, I would have said to you, absolutely zero chance. We had 4 guys in the lineup yesterday that were in Iowa when the season started, and they beat the San Diego Padres to take 2 or 3.
That's impressive. I'll tell you what, I think they're buyers at the deadline. You know what you could use is Yu Darvish.
Yeah. Now, let me just be clear. The day they made the trade, I had no problem with the trade simply because they moved $52 million. Yu has had 2 arm surgeries in the last 6 years, and he's going to be 35 in August. I was cool with, okay, take 4 lottery ticket 18-year-olds, move $52 million, but then reinvest that money. Reinvest that money and go get yourself a top-end starter. They didn't do that. Now they need that. I'll tell you who I would be all over if I was the Cubs is Max Scherzer.
Oh, boy, now you're touching a nerve. That's our guy. Stay away.
That's not your guy. That's our guy.
The St. Louis kid. He did not come here as a free agent the first time around, but I think that, I think the Cardinals, the first thing they're going to do, and Cardinals fans already know this, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to scour the waiver wire. They're also going to look who's been released. They're going to look to try to bulk up Memphis. They're going to try to get AAA Memphis bulked up and then move some guys up. Can they go hit a home run with Scherzer or, a Kyle Gibson or something like that? I don't know. But it's going to get interesting. The Cardinals, they acquired Nolan Arenado and they kept Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright not for fun. They did it to win the World Series. So they're in. It's just a matter of what can they pull off. They got some prospects. We'll see. I think it's interesting. Cubs are in now, which I you know what? Let's go. I mean, it's division. And the Brewers are in, and they look pretty good. And it's a 3-team race. Whoa, wait a minute. Here come the Reds, right? So it's going to be interesting. I think this division is a dogfight to the end, but I expected that. I thought it would be. I didn't think the Cardinals, even though everybody seemed to pick them, almost everybody, I didn't think they would run away with this at all, and they've dealt with a ton of injuries, just like really everybody, Cap. Everybody in baseball is dealing with this thing.
Yeah, the White Sox they've lost Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, and now they just announced Nick Madrigal to the 60-day injured list, and he may be done for the year with a torn hamstring. So, and despite all their injuries, Tony La Russa has them in first place.
Yeah, what's going on with the Chicago media and their infatuation with hammering Tony La Russa? I think this goes back way before he was hired. But and look, he rubs people the wrong way. I get it, but it was like from the day it was announced they were hammering this move, and it was almost like any chance they had to drop the hammer they have. Cap, what's the deal there?
So I feel like I'm on an island, like I'm the only guy in the Chicago media who, liked the speculation. I got to correct you. They were on the negative side of Tony when Bob Nightingale first tweeted, White Sox expected to talk to Tony La Russa. Our city had a collective stroke. What? They all wanted the cheater from Houston, A.J. Hinch.
Oh.
Jerry Reinsdorf was never going to hire a guy who had admitted he cheated. That's just who Jerry is. Plus, Jerry has always rued the day that he let Hawk Harrelson fire Tony back in the mid-'80s. And here was a chance for him to have his friend guiding this really talented young team. And so the Chicago media dug their heels in and went, this is a horrible hire. I can't believe it. He's only the second winningest manager in the history of the sport. He's won 3 World Series. He knows more baseball than anyone in the media will know times 1,000. And Tony takes the gig, and everyone had dug in. And now here they are. Like, I have a guy who's on my station who I think is a very intelligent baseball man, big White Sox fan. And I said the other day, well, you're going to have to back up about your dislike for Tony. He said they're winning in spite of him. And I said, are you really that stupid? He's the second winningest manager of all time. He's had a ton of injuries, and they're in first place. Stop. Just give up and go, okay, let's see where this thing goes.
Yeah, why not enjoy the ride? Now, I get the whole Mercedes thing because I actually disagree with him. I've disagreed with him a lot. I mean, it's not a big deal. He used to take me to task, and I would talk to him, and he dug his heels in too on a lot of things. I disagreed on that. I think you let the kid play and let the guys have fun, but at the same time, I think you have to understand if you want to advance this game and you want it to be more entertaining and let kids do what they want to do and let them play. By the way, he's not a kid. He's earned his respect, and he had been a long-time minor leaguer. But you also have to respect where the game has been. And if you want to advance the game, you have to understand its history. I think there should be a balance there. What's wrong with listening to Tony La Russa talk about baseball? Like, let the guy talk. I just don't understand the anger towards him, but you just explained some of it pretty clearly.
So I'm going to go plug my computer in because I've been on it all day.
Yeah.
Make sure I don't lose you.
That's all right.
Here is my big problem with the Chicago media. Like, I ripped Tony the day that they were playing, and he did not know the rule of who is going to be able to pinch run in extra innings. That can't happen. No. And whether it is Tony or whether it was one of his coaches, somebody on the staff has to know the freaking rule.
No question.
And I said, that's just, that can't happen. That is not proper. And that was my one big critique. I did not have a problem with your mean Mercedes thing. My problem with the Mercedes thing was not that Tony wants you to play a certain way. I'm okay with that. Why do you have to go to the media and throw him under the bus and call him clueless and all of that? Just go, we handled it internally. We're moving on. I'm not answering your questions. That was
it gets that way in the Chicago media. It gets, we have this reputation of being nice and to everybody, but we get after it too. But it gets, the bigger the city, the more people weighing in on opinions, and somehow you've been able to weather the storm for a long time. Not that I think you and I are the same in that we would say that we're homers for the teams. That's totally fine. I love the teams, but I'm not afraid to criticize, and I'm not afraid to analyze, and I'm not afraid to listen to the fans and talk and look at the entire thing. But I also have a good balance there. I always felt that about you. I've been watching for a long time what you do, and you love the teams, but you're not afraid to get in there and use your sources to break news, but also get in there when it's necessary to hold people accountable.
So Joe Madden, you would think Joe Madden, because he won the World Series here, would be this beloved figure. I was pretty critical of a lot of the things that Joe did, and I said it on the team post-game show, and it made the Sun-Times. Oh, I'm being too critical of the manager. But I wasn't attacking him personally. I was attacking a move that he made. The game was, had this big game. The Cubs are in first. Steve Cishek comes in the ninth. The closer's unavailable. Walks the first guy. Walks the second guy. Hits the third guy. And, he ain't anywhere around the strike zone. And we're up a run. And I'm like, might want to have thought about taking him out at that point. I don't care if they bring Tom Ackerman in from St. Louis. This guy, it's not going to work. And, of course, the next guy, he walks again. Now it's tied. He still leaves him in. Guy gets a hit. We lose the game. And I blast him on the postgame show. And I see him at the ballpark, and he's like, a little harsh on me on the post-game show because his wife was watching. I'm like, I didn't criticize him as a man. I just disagreed with his baseball philosophy.
Yeah, Larissa would approach me, and Mike Matheny and Mike Schilt. We've all had a great relationship. I host Mike Schilt's show right now on the radio, and he just told me on Sunday. He said, "Tom, whoa, like the sky's not falling. Okay, we're good. Let's reel it back a little bit." Or what did he say to me the other day where I was talking about the walks, and he said, "Walks are getting better, Tom. Okay, let's ease it on that narrative." Like he defends his guys, and I give him that respect because Cap, I mean, they know more about what's really going on in that clubhouse and behind the walls than we do.
Point.
We know a lot. We talk, but they know really what's going on. Okay, so back to LaRussa. He would come up to me on the field after before games or in the office. He'd call me into the office and say, "I heard you were criticizing my move last night or on the post-game show," or whatever. I'd be like, "Well, I was just wondering, why did you take Steve Klein out of the game," or whatever the case may be. And he said, "We'll close the door and I'll tell you." And that was what always was great about him, is that he would explain everything and why he did certain things. And he knew that it was about baseball. That's what you're talking about. We're just talking baseball.
That's it. But
it's baseball.
I had a situation on a post game where I blasted a former Cubs manager and said, "How could you not bring that guy in? I saw him. He's in the stadium. Why would you not have used him?" And I get a phone call that night at like 11 o'clock. Oh, boy. Hello. Okay, this conversation is between you and I. Do I have your word? Yeah. He was out till 5 in the morning. We have him on video, wasted. The game was at 1:20. I couldn't use him, but I'm not going to tell the media that. He protected his guys. Okay, I got it.
They're human beings. You know,
right.
Stuff happens. Things absolutely happen, and that's, you know, part of our job. Cap, it is it's fun to chat with you. By the way, I don't want any more time to go by before I congratulate you on the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame. What a cool thing. And you've been at it for a long time in your hometown. That has to be unbelievably special to have that honor. You'll go in this year.
I greatly appreciate it. I got that phone call. It's funny. The phone rang. I don't know the number. And I'm like, "Hello. Hey, this is so-and-so from the Chicagoland Sports Hall of Fame." And I said, "Yeah, how can I help you?" I thought he was calling like, "Hey, could we get you on the selection committee to help us pick the next class?" I said, "Anything I can do to help you guys, whatever you need." He goes, "Well, actually, I was calling to tell you you're going in."
Wow.
Excuse me? And my mom died in December. And I walked outside and I looked up. My dad's been gone since 2000, and he's the reason I'm in this field. And I looked up, and it just like hit me that they helped me get to where I'm at, and I can't have them there. I know they're going to watch wherever they're at. They'll have a front row seat, but it's one of the coolest moments of my life.
I love that. And, you know, if I can get personal too, you know, I lost my dad in 1993, right after my high school graduation, to a sudden heart attack. And he is the reason I'm in sports. I mean, he when I was a kid, he would take me to games. He'd keep me up late watching. He'd say, "Tom," he'd come into my room. I'm doing homework. He'd be like, "Tommy, 10 seconds left, fourth quarter, Bulls Celtics, you know, Bulls ball. Let's go." You know, we'd watch Jordan hit the winning shot, you know, or go to the ballpark, or, you know, if somebody offered him an opportunity to go to a game out of town, he was one of those guys that would say, "Yeah, let's go do that. Like, let's get the tickets and go. In the moment, go." And that's how I am. And I see that in you, and I think that's very special. I think about my parents. Well, my mom is a big fan of, and always will text. I'm sure she's going to be watching the Garage Happy Hour and will let me know. But to have that support is amazing. But that stays with you forever. It's handed down. It's in you.
It absolutely does. And I lost my dad to a sudden heart attack. It was like, "Hey, come over and watch the Final Four." And that I drove back from Indy, and it was Michigan State's going to win the national title. I call my dad on the way back from Indy. I get home. I'm tired. And I get into bed. My phone's ringing. It's 5:20 in the morning, Saturday morning. My mom, "This can't be a good call. Get to the hospital. Something's wrong with your father." I got there. He was gone. It's like, So tomorrow is promised to no one. We're having fun with sports. I love the rivalry. I say it all the time. I despise the St. Louis Cardinals.
I know you do.
More than any team in any sport. Hi, Sparky. I despise the St. Louis Cardinals.
I know you do, but
I have the ultimate respect for the quality of that organization.
I know you do. By the way, before I get into that, my story is similar. I was, we were there with my dad when it happened. It was very sudden and it was instant, and it was on a Sunday morning, and it was very hard. And so I did not know that. Actually, you and I have connected for a long time, but we never shared that. So we're going to share it right here on the Garage Happy Hour. So I knew that you and I had a deep connection. So we'll talk about that again, I'm sure, over a cocktail. But why do you hate the Cardinals?
Because they freaking did. And I've told this to Tony. Here I am, this diehard Cub fan, and my team never wins. And more than any team in any sport prior to 2016, we could be up 94-0 with 2 outs in the 9th and nobody on base, and we could find a way to F this whole thing up. And I'm watching the St. Louis Cardinals, and I remember one day you guys had first and second. It's a tie game. Freaking Albert Pujols lays a bunt down. I'm like, this guy hit behind a runner. The Cardinals will do it. Diving stop. The Cardinals are going to make it. Bring some guy I never heard of out of the bullpen. He'll get us out. That's why I hated the Cardinals. And then you won. I mean, won 11 times. We've won one since 1908.
You have. But it was very special. I think that when you beat the Cardinals in 2015,
that was amazing.
And it was amazing. It was a good Cardinals team. It was a Cardinals team that dealt with a lot of injuries, but they found a way. They won 100 games. Good team. Got beat in the division series. And then won the World Series in 16. And the Cardinals don't make it. Come close, but don't make it in 16, 17, 18. It really upset the fan base. It led to Mike Matheny's ouster. It led to everything. I mean, Arenado being here. Like, all of that actually – not to give you too much credit, but it does relate to the Cubs being good. I mean, that upset the fan base to the point where people started to not show up to Busch Stadium, and that's a major red flag.
So there are a few series between the Cubs and Cardinals in my lifetime that are the greatest. Like, we had a 5-game series with you guys when Dusty was the manager.
03.
And we took 4 of the 5, and Dusty's pointing at La Russa, and they're swearing at each other. My favorite was obviously the playoff series, but the other one was when one of your guys threw at our guys, and after the game, I'm in the press conference, and I'm interviewing Joe Madden for our postgame show, and he says, I didn't see Tony Soprano in that dugout, but if that guy wants to start something, we'll finish it. I'm like, yes! Take that, Cardinals. That was pretty awesome.
I think he called us vigilantes.
He did.
Yeah.
But 2015 playoffs for the Cubs was pretty special.
Oh, I bet it was. And you thought about your
Schwarber up on the video board was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Is that still up there?
The ball is encased, but it's in like a Cub Hall of Fame. It's not up there. Can you tell me who the pitcher was for the Cardinals?
Kevin Seager.
Kevin Seager, a lefty. And he took him deep.
Siegs, I think, had pitched 150 games that year. No, but about 90 probably.
A lot.
He had been used a lot, and but still, Schwarber hit a bomb. He's the only Cub that I can say that I've ever really liked because he's an IU guy, but not against the Cardinals.
And one other thing I would tell you is the game that we knocked you out that year.
Yeah,
the last one, Lackey started for you guys, and Javi Baez took him deep into the right field bleachers for a 3-run homer. That's when I went, things are different around here.
Yeah, I loved Lackey. So 16, you win it all, and I texted you, and I was so happy for you. You thought about your dad a lot, didn't you?
So here's the amazing thing. 16, it's game 7. Todd Hollinsworth's my partner. He's one of my best friends in my life. Our set is outside Progressive Field, but we're maybe 100 yards from the entrance to the stadium. We have a satellite that's beaming the game to us on the set, but it is like 10 seconds delayed. we're winning 5-1, then it's 5-3, and now David Ross hits a homer at 6-3 in the eighth, and I'm pacing back and forth. I'm not a broadcaster at that point. My heart is beating on the set, and Hollingsworth's like, dude, stop. It's over. We got Chapman. He throws 102. It's over. And I turn to him. I go, you were an effing mercenary. You played for 7 teams. You took our money for a year and a half, and we traded your ass. Let me just tell you something. You didn't die with this team like I did, period. So stop. This thing is not over. It isn't 2 minutes later, Rajay Davis. I hear from the speaker on the side of the stadium in real time. It's still 10 seconds delayed on our monitor, and I hear swung out and belted from Tom Hamilton. I'm like, no effing way this guy just went deep. Then we see it, and Hollingsworth stops. He's like, oh, God, now I know what you're talking about. I get it now. And then we get the rain delay, and we come back and we win. And in my ear, the game ends, and they're like, okay, we're hitting the air in 10 seconds. And the game literally ends, and I point at my dad, and I go, wow, now I'm ready to go. But I had to have that moment with him. And then that was on Wednesday. Friday was the parade. That Monday, I went to the cemetery, and I brought a pin that said World Series champs. I glued it to his headstone. I brought a hat, and he loved coffee. So I brought him a cup of coffee, and I sat there with the papers. And I look around, and there had to be 400 people in the cemetery doing the exact same thing. Red and blue flowers, pennants, hats, W flags. I'm like, wow, it was multi-generational.
Wow. When the Red Sox won here in 2004, breaking the curse, they celebrated here. And I actually spent a little time over at that team hotel to see that. And there were people, tears streaming, calling their parents.
Right here.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's really something how
you don't take it for granted, but you won 11 times.
Yeah, like that one hurt because that was a really good team. So the Cardinals hadn't won since '82, and 2004 they made it in '96 to the playoffs. A good team. Braves got them. 2000, La Russa's got the team rolling now, and that team went in 2000, 01, 02. You mentioned 03. That was the Cubs had the better year there, but 04, that team was really good. Red Sox sweep, and that hurt. But they go on and win it, as you said, again, 2 years later. For me, it was 11 because even though 06 was amazing, 11 was a ridiculous year, just like mind-blowing how they could be 10.5 out and come back 10.5 out in August and win the whole thing. Also, I had personally, I was sports director of KMOX at that point and had somehow the ability to get my mom tickets, and she's like right behind the dugout, and I'm down there for game 1, and I'm, I see her, she sees me, like that whole moment, everything, having all the memories start flowing back. That got emotional for me. So the fact that they won it was amazing, but just that moment itself was incredible. It's amazing, isn't it, how sports have it's not just you and me, it's just millions and millions of people. Why is that, do you think? Why do we care so much about sports? That's kind of a general question, but why is that? Because
you bond over it. Like my brother and I would sit there and watch games with my dad, and it was like multi-generational. My grandfather loved watching baseball, so he'd sit there. There's my dad, there's me and my brother. It's like, and then I could go to a ballpark, whether it was White Sox, Cubs, the stadium, or the United Center for Bulls and Blackhawks, and go, wow, I'm sitting in a seat that maybe my great-grandfather sat in. It was, and then we never won. So we were all like, we're a bunch of losers. But someday I hope I live long enough. And Theo walked up to me one day and said, hey, you need to drop about 15 pounds. I'm like, really? He's like, I heard you on the air this morning that you hope you live long enough to see us win. We ain't close. You better get in better shape. Yeah. That was my guy. I love Theo.
He's great. He's great. You think he'll run a team again?
I do. I think he'll buy a team. He doesn't have the money to be the lead guy, obviously, but he made a lot of money. He was making $10 million a year here, but who wouldn't want him in their ownership group? So I could easily see him either buying the expansion team, maybe that goes to Nashville, or they put something in Portland, or he buys an existing franchise. But I've talked to him a lot on and off the record, and on the record, he has said to me, I'm not done in the game.
Yeah, I respect him, that's for sure. That town now, when I think of Chicago, I know the Cubs won, and that, you know, the Blues winning the Stanley Cup, by the way, not the same length of drought, but a release for all of us. I see that Blackhawk. I see the Stan Mikita jersey behind you. You know, that was a release for us.
Bobby Hall,
yeah, Bobby Hall,
Ian, Ernie Banks. So
yeah, that felt good. So I get it. Like, I understand that release, but it's been a while for the Bears, and the Bears, to me, that's the team. It's a Bears town.
No, 100%. For that moment when the Cubs won, it was the biggest thing we'd ever seen.
Yes.
There were 5 million people at the parade. 5 million.
Yeah.
And it was insane. I've never seen anything like it. Like, you always hear how many people are at a parade. You're like, yeah, that's exaggerated. This wasn't. It was literally ridiculous. The 7th largest gathering of humans in the history of the world. I mean, it was stupid. But it'd been 108 years of idiocy.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, if I start the show tomorrow and I said, hey, let's talk about Justin Fields, full phones.
Boom.
I mean, that's all they care about.
No, I hear you. I mean, this is 8 of our top 10 stories on KMOX.com are Cardinals related every month. You know, there might be a big news story, and there are plenty, tons. The Cardinals crush it always, and I totally get it. Okay, so just a little time left with you. So I'm heading up tomorrow, and I love Wrigley. I love what's not to like. Old ballpark, great atmosphere, everything surrounding it. I'll come up. I'll probably get there in time to drop my stuff off and then head over to the ballpark. So tell me, give me a good, and I've been around. I mean, I've been okay. So here's who I am. People ask, where would you go eat? For me, if I had one place in Chicago, I love Lou Malnati's, right? I mean, that's a given. But I'd go to Au Cheval. Like, that's my kind of spot.
Au Cheval for burgers is ridiculous. But if you want
I like going where the locals know.
Okay, but do you like steak?
Yeah.
Okay. Chicago Cut is the best restaurant in the city. You're sitting along the river and the boats are going by. You sit outside. The food is ridiculous. The service is over the top, and you're outside in this amazing city. Chicago Cut, for me, is the number 1 restaurant in town.
That's strong. That's strong. I'm looking forward to it very much. I love getting up there and hanging out and doing everything. And I won't be there long. I'm only going to the Friday game, and then I'll come right back here. And then when you come down here, I don't know when that's going to be again, but it's not just for baseball. You and I have done college basketball together. You also do Atlantic 10 games for NBC Sports Network and various other networks. You're at NBC Sports Chicago. You're at ESPN 1000. I should also mention that. Make sure that people know where to find you. But you do college basketball down here, and I know you've been very well connected with St. Louis University. I want to get your take on what Travis Ford's done down here.
Yeah, I'm a huge Travis Ford guy. One of my best friends in my life is Ray Giacoletti, who's one of the assistants there.
Great guy.
He's the best. And so Ray and I both were scouts together for the Seattle Supersonics back in the late 80s. There was a league, the 6'4" and under league, and I had a really good team that I ran. Ray was running the Fresno team. I had the Chicago team, and we ended up losing in the finals to Vegas. But Ray and I have been friends for, going on 40 years. And so when I come down there, it's always dinner at Charlie Gito's because he literally lives across the street.
Does he?
50
the downtown
feet.
One?
Yeah, on the hill, I think.
Oh, on the hill. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Literally 50 feet.
I like them both.
You walk out his door, and it's right there. And so we go in there and eat. I love that place. And then I love calling games, and I'm a huge Travis Ford fan. Rick Majerus was at my wedding. And that's when I started to get exposed to Billiken basketball. And then Rick tragically passes away. And Travis comes in there, and I thought he's done just a whale of a job.
It's good to hear. And you are a former basketball coach, and you got some coach in you. So I'm going to close with this. One of my favorite things, I of course follow you for sports takes and ask for your sports takes, but I actually like your life coaching. I think you, more than you realize, I think you coach life pretty darn well. I don't know how you do it. You've got an unbelievable motor, but you basically tell people it's very simple to seize the day, enjoy it, and because we're here, we're breathing air. We're here. Let's live. Let's have some fun. And I think that's pretty much your message, isn't it?
It is. I live by a motto that is actually tattooed on my arm, and it says right there, live life all in, right up at the top.
Look at this. There it is.
Right there.
Live life all in.
Like if I'm going to be Tom Ackerman's friend, I'm going to be your friend. Otherwise, why are we wasting each other's time? If I say I'm going to the gym, I'm going to work out. Well, then why go sit, read the newspaper, take a shower, come home, and go, yeah, I had a great workout and did nothing. Either be all in or don't waste anybody's time. If KMOX hires you to be the sports director, then put the pedal to the metal and be the best goddamn sports director you can be. Or let someone else have it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's how I've chosen to live my life. And I've done it with experience. I was divorced. I died on the operating table, which was an unbelievable experience. I don't wish on anyone, but I remember every second of it. And I was always this guy, but that took me times 100, that you could be gone in a second. People get worried about the smallest shit. They do. You've been in those press boxes. You get a free freaking meal. You're sitting looking down at Busch Stadium or Wrigley Field, and you listen to some of these idiots in the press box who think they are doing you a favor by coming to the game.
And I'll be honest with you. I'd rather, and I love my media brethren, I do, but I'd rather mix in with the fans, to be honest, and just kind of like take in the atmosphere and kind of rove around.
Yeah, they're not all that way, but there are some. I just don't understand people who sweat things that don't matter, because when you lose your health, none of the other shit matters.
Right on, man. Absolutely right. That's a great way to close the Garage Happy Hour. That's what we're all about.
Anytime, man. I'm a huge fan of yours. Great admiration for how you do your business.
Same here. The feelings are mutual. It's great to see you. Great to talk to you. I appreciate you taking the time. We'll make sure that people see this and know where to find you. Congratulations, Hall of Famer.
Appreciate you. I look forward. I hope I get to see you tomorrow when you're up in my city.
I will be there. I'm going to be enjoying it actually as a patron.
Well, I will be at a bar across the street from Wrigley, right near Waveland and Clark, called Yoxie's. I'll be there from 1 to 3 doing an appearance, because we're giving away tickets to go with me and my partner ride up and sit in a suite when the Cubs play the Brewers June 30th.
I'll text you when I'm in the area, and if we meet up, we meet up, and we'll figure it out. I mean, we do our best.
I look forward to it.
That's awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thanks to Sam Masterson, our producer. Garage Happy Hour right here is sponsored by Bommarito Automotive Group. What a great sponsor they are. Just fantastic. They've been so good to us. They are Missouri's #1 automotive group, and you're going to hear about them right now. We'll see you next week.
At Bommarito, shop thousands of new vehicles. Get more for your trade. The Bommarito nationwide warranty, 10 years, 200,000 miles, and the best service after the sale. Bommarito, Missouri's #1 automotive group, open 24/7 at Bommarito.com.